The podcast you are about to listen to contains at least one of the following: strong language, disturbing topics, abusive opinions, generally things that aren't appropriate for little kids or overly sensitive people. So, if any of that stuff's going to get your nose out of joint, this is your chance to turn it off. Welcome to I Had to Say It, the podcast where I not only say the things I need to say, but the things I think you need to hear. And your feelings, they're not a factor. Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of I Had to Say It. So we're going to start out by saying to Josh, Iceman, Jason, Miss Aaron, Mike Tabby, Javier, Fitz, McShane, El Jefe, El Devlin, El Morte, the guys at the Weather Report, and to Billy G, thank you for your continued support. It means the world to me. If you would like to hear your name listed with these amazing people, all you got to do is go to either I Had to Say It podcast.com, patreon.com/ I Had to Say It, or else buy me a coffee. The links are all in the fucking website. Yeah. And if not, I get it. Times are tight. Things suck for everybody. It is what it is. So anyway, it's been a week. It seemed like it was kind of starting off to a slow news week, other than the left is still kind of showing some internal division after last week's disastrous debate performance by Biden, followed up by a subsequently equally shitty interview to try and offset the fact that he had a shit debate performance. Sleepy is adamantly stating repeatedly that he's not going anywhere and he's sticking it out and he's in it for the long run. And the left finds himself in a very interesting position of they are kind of hoisted on their own petard in a lot of ways. And frankly, I'm kind of here for it. It's fun watching the left eat itself because there's obviously a division in the camps of the people who are going to stay behind Joe because he's their candidate and he's their guy. And they kind of have to, because in a lot of ways, shy of using the 25th or him dropping dead, they're stuck for it. There's no process to replace him on some of the ballots. There are the simple fact that they ran basically a bullshit primary where they didn't run any real competitive people against him because, I don't know, they just assumed that he was going to be able to pull it off, or they thought the American people weren't going to notice that they had a fucking senile senior citizen as their primary candidate. At this point, the mainstream media narratives are falling apart. Even people who are on the left are starting to say there's no way this guy's actually running the country. Who's actually calling the shots? Thanks to Jill Biden's performance immediately post-debate and everything that's happened in the intervening week, a lot of people are saying it's probably her because Jill's the only person that Joe will listen to at this point, and during all these closed doors White House meetings, Hunter's there because family is extremely important to him, and with the encouragement and support of his family, he's staying in the race, and Joe's really starting to fucking lose it. He's leaving these phone interviews with people where they're saying, he's calling out people and saying, oh, well, if you got a problem with it, let's see you run against me. And angry old man Joe keeps making appearances when he's talking to what is essentially calm, friendly audiences where it's not like he's getting thrown hardball questions. These are Democrat stronghold interviewers he's getting all riled up like grandpa's going to do something, but Peepaw's pretty much useless after 4:00. So that's really not somebody that we want running the country. And unfortunately for the left, a lot of people have woken up to that, and they're starting to question the narratives and starting to say, if the media was lying to us all this time, how did we not notice? And then the media is trying to do damage control. Oh, well, we were deceived too. It's like, no, motherfuckers, you were the ones doing the deception. You were active participants in the bullshit narrative that Sleepy Joe was competent and in control. A lot of people have been saying it for years. I've been saying it for fucking years. And it's not like I'm some super conservative, hardcore righty. Now granted, all the left-wing nutballs will tell you anybody that's anywhere more center than them is automatically a right-wing extremist and a fascist and a threat to their democracy and all the other bullshit narratives that are being spun around here. And it kind of brings me to the main thought I'm having as I sit down to record this. And it's something I've been seeing, and in a lot of ways I'm very disappointed because stuff I'm seeing on social media, generally, I tend to avoid Facebook for a lot of reasons. It's just fucking useless. If it wasn't for the fact that there are certain family members I have that's the only way I can keep in touch with them, then I probably wouldn't have it at all. But ultimately, I've been seeing a lot of posts on there by people who I honestly thought had better fucking sense than apparently they do. I mean, generally, I try to keep people's politics out of my judgments of them as individuals, but some of the dumb shit I've seen posted from people that are my Facebook friends, people I have known in the real world for a extended period of time, and they're posting some of the stupidest, most smooth-brained, sheeple bullshit because they're literally echoing all the media talking points, all the hardcore leftist Democrat bullshit talking points that, if the convicted felon gets reelected, it's the death of democracy, and he's going to start going after his political opponents, and the whole Agenda 2025 thing, which is not a Trump thing. Trump's agenda is called Agenda 47. That is his stated policy on what he plans to do when he gets back in office. The Agenda 2025 thing came out of some fucking right-wing think tank. It is not endorsed by Trump. He has never once said those were his intentions or his plans. And some of it's a little extreme and some of it's, actually perfectly reasonable statements. But, the left is acting like Trump's going to be the next Hitler. And media outlets have literally posted things where they're saying, fascism comes to America, and it's a picture of Trump with the little Hitler stash. And, it's utterly fucking ridiculous. I mean, just putting a complete pump the brakes on the fact for 5 minutes that modern, like Gen Z and tail end millennials are completely delusional when it comes to what words actually fucking mean. They like to redefine words, particularly the cult of personality on the left, where they like to change meanings to try and suit their fucking agendas instead of just actually accepting what a word means. Calling everybody you disagree with a fascist while you support things like using fascist techniques to force your beliefs on other people means you're fucking stupid. It doesn't mean the other people are fascists. It means you're fucking retarded. So when you keep throwing these words around, like fascist, bigots, whatever, phobic, racist, all this shit, they say it so much it has lost any meaning to anybody with more than a half a fucking brain. And I'd say really anybody with more than a quarter of a brain, but most of these people manage to not shit on themselves in public. So I'm going to assume that takes a certain degree of automated functions to keep your sphincter tight. But I digress. These, like I said, I've been seeing posts from people that I expect better from, people I expect to have some sort of critical thinking ability, that are just jumping in whole hog on this leftist bullshit. And it's disappointing. Not that I care if your personal politics lead you down a leftist approach to life, as long as you're willing to respect my individuality and my rights and my beliefs. But when you start echoing mindless media talking points, saying things like Trump is literally Hitler, or making basic comparisons on fear-mongering bullshit that has literally zero evidence that is grounded in reality in any way, shape, or form, because you've decided Orange Man bad, and if he gets into office, he's going to do this and he's going to do that. And literally everything they are accusing Trump of potentially doing if he gets reelected is currently being done by the sitting administration. Prosecution of political rivals. Keeping people that don't agree with the party line in prison. Everyone that's been arrested for January 6th, especially after the Supreme Court has vacated a massive amount of the charges based on, no, these are invalid statements, and there's still not a single J6er has been released. They are actively trying to destroy people that hold a differing political ideology, imprison them based on nothing. It's the same mindset that has people that were praying outside of an abortion clinic, not stopping anybody from going in, not rioting, not destroying anything, not doing anything even remotely inconvenient other than from a moral standpoint of, I don't agree with you praying for me as I go in there to kill my baby. And people that are doing that have been getting extended jail terms, way more time than anyone that was arrested at any of the fucking Summer of Love bullshit that happened in 2020, because of what side of the ideology their actions are involved with. And again, not violent, not aggressive, not hostile, not impeding anybody, not even stopping anyone from going into the abortion clinics, just praying for them on the sidewalk out front of the building in a public space. And they're being sentenced to jail time for it. It's the utter fucking hypocrisy of these people who are saying, oh, well, if Trump gets elected, he's going to be a fascist dictator. He's said as much. He's going to... Basically, the biggest things he said at this point is he's going to try and minimize the amount of bureaucracy in existence, which I really don't believe he's going to do because I said that last time and he didn't do shit. But again, that's just my 2 pennies because Trump is... His biggest problem is his fucking ego. He is easily manipulated basically by telling him, don't do that. You know he's going to go fucking do it. And telling him he's going to be the hugest and the bestest and the biggest. And he gets surrounded by advisors who give him bad fucking advice. And, you know, we're still waiting to see who his running mate's going to be. A lot of people, the vast majority of the people, as far as I'm aware, are all saying Vivek would be a great running mate. And I think it would because he would bring a lot to the table to counter Trump's fucking brashness, his eagerness to be the best and all this other shit. But also, he's got enough of a backbone and enough of an attitude himself where he could be a good check to fucking Trump's ego. But I don't know. We'll see how that plays out. I'm really, you know, I'm still leaning at this point towards voting for Bill Murray, as I tend to do. But we'll see how that turns out. But again, my biggest disappointment in all this is the amount of, like, when I get the stupid celebrities echoing the talking points, when I get all these fucking actors and singers and entertainers and people whose literally their only thing that has made them successful in life is something that really doesn't show any sort of education or merit or give them any grounds or basis for trying to lecture the common person on how they should think, believe, or act, but have bought into their own self-worth and their own arrogance enough that they somehow feel entitled to. If you're good at playing pretend, that doesn't make you an expert on a single fucking thing. That doesn't give you a moral high ground where you need to get a bunch of your famous rich friends together and lecture the proletariat on how they should be thinking and feeling and acting and voting. And, I mean, it's basically all this shit straight out of the commie fucking handbook. And they're barely trying to hide it anymore. The like globalist, socialist bullshit is just rampant in this fucking country, and it's spreading around the world. And it was actually kind of a surprise with everything that was going on in the UK and in France and all the elections and all the primaries were going really heavy right. Like the youth are not buying the socialist bullshit, at least according to all the initial polls and everything. And then the elections go through this weekend, and oddly enough, the fucking commies took France. The commies took the UK. It's like, you know, yeah, great. Keep important. The new UK Prime Minister says in his speech, he's like, yeah, I'm going to put the UK first, but he's also saying there's going to be open fucking borders, and they're going to be. They're turning these places into the fucking third world. When you import the third world, you don't elevate the fucking dirt bags you're bringing into your country. You are destroying your homes. But this globalist, socialist, communist mindset doesn't see things in reality. It sees things in the elites and the fucking rest of us. And for whatever reason, the people that toe the party line, they believe themselves to be part of the elites, and they will do and say whatever they can to consolidate that and give themselves power and aggrandizement. And it's blaringly obvious, again, to anybody that has any sort of critical thinking capability, but I guess what's really hitting me with all this is how utterly disappointed I am in people who I expected better from to show such a lack of critical thinking. To anybody who's there, like, it's one thing to say, like, I don't like Trump because he didn't deliver on his promises. I don't like Trump because, you know, he's a fucking scumbag and I don't like scumbags. That's fine. But don't try and act like anybody on the left is any fucking better. There's not. There's no moral high ground coming out of these people. These are degenerate, parasitic fucks. And if you're out here championing your guy saying, well, this is the only way we can save our freedoms and our liberties, well, you're blatantly ignoring and like willfully blinding yourself to the actual behaviors of the current administration. You're either stupid or you're a fucking hypocrite. And either way, I really don't have any fucking use for you. If you're that weak-minded, if you're that incapable of seeing reality for what it fucking is, And I know a lot of people are sitting there like, well, that's a really, elitist bullshit way of looking at life, and you think you're better than everybody else. Well, yeah, I actually do think I'm better than the vast majority of these stupid motherfuckers on this planet. I mean, maybe I'm not as good as I used to be. I am pretty much the textbook definition of fucking wasted potential in a lot of ways. I could have been fucking amazing. I could have been something. I could have been a contender. But what I am is just some schmuck in the Midwest who sits in front of a microphone for a couple hours a day or a couple hours a week, really, and vents his spleen. And meanwhile, I'm not doing anything that's really changing the world either myself. So I guess I'm kind of a hypocrite too. But at least I'm cognizant and I'm aware of what's going on in the fucking world, and I can see how utterly shit these people are. Without this whole like, oh well, my utterly shit people are going to defend my way of life and da 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 da. And these morons don't understand they are not valued. They are not viewed as something special or something better by the morons who tell them what they want to hear to keep their positions and to keep their privilege. That's realistically all our system currently is. Our system is bloated. It is wasteful. It's disgusting. And it's a self-perpetuating system because they are buying votes using our own fucking money. And it's really one of the things I think that's coming to light because of this is it's shining a light on how the system has created so many utterly worthless fucking people to bolster itself. Because when you don't actually have any worth, any self-worth, any sense of value, there's so much bullshit that ties into this whole thing. When you have a weak core, a weak foundation, I mean, all the fucking gender confused people out there. And again, this is not anything against the LGBT, even the T community. I mean, it's when you get in all the new letters. I've said it before. That's where I have a problem with you. That's where I think it's stupid. That's where it's cult of personality bullshit. That's where it's preying on weak and confused and vulnerable people at stages in their lives where they should not be making life-altering decisions based on some fucked up individuals that are old enough to know better but want to perpetuate their own fucking mental illness and try and normalize what is wrong with them. And gender dysmorphia is a legitimate thing. It is a thing. When you are an adult and you feel you're living in the wrong body and you want to address it, that's fine once you're an adult, once you're figuring things out. But there's a lot of hypocrisy floating around that shit too. I mean, I personally see it as it's just another tier of an attack on the gay and lesbian community that I've never had a problem with in my fucking life. I don't give a fuck. It doesn't impact me. I don't care. If you want to be gay, be gay. If you want to be a lesbian, be a lesbian. If you want to swing both ways and just love whatever you can get your hands on, I don't fucking care. But when you start trying to tell people they were born in the wrong body and just because they feel a certain way, that's what they should be. And it started out with, oh, well, your genitals don't define your gender. Well, if your genitals don't define your gender, how does mutilating them affirm anything? If it's not defined by that, it shouldn't be impacted by taking it off or adding it or whatever. And when you're doing this to people that are too young to be able to realize ramifications, consequences, and higher order actions, you're literally damaging people. There are so many cases at this point that's showing they would have grown out of it, but instead they've permanently sterilized themselves, so they've altered their physiology, they've damaged their bodies beyond repair because you can't come back from it. When you're fucking with your hormones during developmental stages, you are retarding and damaging your development. And there are second and third order consequences for those things that people don't think of when they're young and vulnerable. So anybody that's pushing the ideology on children is realistically doing it for all the wrong fucking reasons. Because if they actually cared about those people, they would be helping them get to a place of understanding. They would be treating the people who may have legitimate mental issues and not preying upon people that are still trying to figure out who the fuck they are in this world. That's where I really have a problem with it. Leave the kids alone. Let them figure out who they are. Don't try and tell them based on your fucking baggage and your fucking bullshit. Leave the kids alone. Let them be kids. And for fuck's sakes, anybody that's trying to sexualize a 10-year-old, because that's what all this shit is. Nobody has trans kids. Trans is tied into your sexual identity. You don't have a sexual identity as a child. And anybody that says differently is a fucking pedophile. And, pedophiles get the wood chipper. It's that fucking simple. There's no 4-year-old that's out there saying, I'm in the wrong body, mommy. That's fucking cluster B personality mothers that want to feel special, so they got to have the trans kids because that's the hot new accessory and fucking bored housewives. It's just fucking ridiculous that people are doing this shit. People are saying like, "Oh, my 19-month-old is trans." No, your 19-month-old is a 19-month-old, and they have no fucking concept of those things. That is you projecting, and you're a horrible fucking human being for doing that to your child. Oh, I got off on a tear here. That really wasn't where I planned on going with this conversation. Oh, I wanted to talk more about the lack of critical thinking in people today, which is a reoccurring theme on this show. People don't think critically. People don't analyze anything beyond what they're told to believe by their bobblehead of fucking choice. Whether it be listening to those cackling fucking hags on the View, or if you're a massive Swiftie and you think everything Tay-Tay says should dictate your life. Oh, and which brings me to something else I was thinking about the other day. Now, I remember when I was a kid and I would go to concerts, and it was always a good time. And it was, I never really went to like any stadium shows because it didn't seem like it would be fun to me, you know? I mean, there were certain venues I thought were just too fucking big, and amphitheaters and shit like that. It started to get kind of fringe. I saw footage of a Taylor Swift concert the other day, and it absolutely, I mean, like I said, Taylor Swift's not my cup of tea. I don't care if you like her, great. I'm happy you enjoy her fucking, generic mid-grade fucking poppy bullshit music. But considering most of her career was made based on songs written about all the terrible choices she made in men, should you really be asking this singer for political advice? No, you shouldn't. When she's out here pushing her narrative and her agenda, it has fuck all to do with. She's not a good judge of character. She's got multiple records that prove that. So, but that again, and that's neither here nor there. She shilled a lot of shit that was terrible with the vaccines and her dating Kelsey and all this other shit. But whatever. Back to the point I was saying is these, like fucking nosebleed Taylor Swift concert seats are like in the hundreds of dollars for a ticket. And I saw this footage of some 20-something-year-old white bitch and all her friends at a Taylor Swift concert in a fucking stadium in the nosebleeds, way the high up, couldn't even barely see the screens they set up to show Tay-Tay in all her glory, and could not hear the fucking actual music for all of the empty-headed 20-somethings up there screaming along to the songs. I wouldn't want to pay hundreds of dollars to listen to a bunch of fucking cut-rate karaoke bullshit by a bunch of random bitches. I don't understand the mindset behind that shit. Every concert I went to in my entire course of my life, and I've been to a lot of fucking concerts over the last 40-some years, every single one of them I could actually hear the bands I was there to see. I mean, yeah, that's not to say the crowd didn't sing along with some of the songs. It's not to say there wasn't, audience participation and shit like that. But I was never once at a concert where I couldn't hear the fucking band for being surrounded by morons. And I don't understand the appeal of that at fucking all. So the people that jump on board with this shit and think that's somehow special and that's a great thing, I mean, I'm happy you're enjoying yourself, but I think you're kind of fucking stupid. Just so you know. Massive impersonal venues where you're nowhere, where you can't actually see the stage. You have to look at giant monitors, and you can't hear the artist you're there to see other than the very basic track because everybody else in the building is screaming along. I didn't pay hundreds of dollars to listen to shitty karaoke. It's just, I don't get it. That's just fucking dumb to me. But anyway, I digress. That's just more evidence of smooth brainery infiltrating our society as far as I'm concerned. And I'm going to, one little last thing here. It's going to be a short episode this week, I guess. I've got a lot of other stuff going on. But anyway, something that was coming up. Now, this has been an ongoing issue. And that is, there's a bill coming forward in the House now. It's come up on a regular basis under different incarnations, but it's this current one is called the SAFE Act, and it's basically it's a voter registration law that would go into place stating you have to verify you are a U.S. citizen to vote in federal elections. Now, this has come up multiple times over the course of my lifetime where they've been talking about requiring your ID to vote, and basically every single time it comes up, the left starts screaming about how it's racist. That is their default go-to fucking argument, is it's racist. It will negatively impact people of color. It will impact black people can't get IDs. Mexican people won't know how to get their paperwork in order, and they're afraid if they do it, they're going to be deported. Just all this just incredibly insulting. If I was a member of an ethnic minority and I had white people trying to stump and tell me I was too fucking stupid to do something, I'd be insulted as shit. But these white savior, leftist, elitist cunt rags seem to think that's just, don't worry, little brown people, we're here to protect you because you can't do for yourself. And they don't see that as being insulting or racist or degrading or anything else, even though it patently is. But so this is another bill that's been put forward. I believe Mike Lee sponsored it, I believe. And it's getting the usual resistance. The Democrats are all rallying to try and say they're not going to pass it and they're going to vote against it. And it's racist and it's phobic and blah, blah, blah. And it's already illegal for non-citizens to vote in federal elections. So why do we need a law saying you have to provide? If it's already illegal for them to do it, why is it such a problem to make people have to verify that they have a right to fucking do it? That's what I don't understand. That's where the smooth brain shit comes in. That's where you've got to be fucking kidding me if you're trying to, in any way, shape, or form, justify this bullshit. And particularly after the last major election with all the accusations of impropriety and a lot of things that have actually been proven to have actual instances of impropriety, the fact that Arizona found something like 11,000, and this is, at this point it's too late to do anything about it, but found 11,000 illegal registered voters on the ballots or on the polls, on the logs, however the fuck you want to look at it. And Biden only won Arizona by 10,000 votes. So, gee, no evidence of impropriety there. I wonder why the Republicans want to try and verify that this is, a necessary thing, that you be able to prove you have a right to vote in federal elections. And there is paperwork that has been literally handed out by the Arizona Bureau that handles public aid and fucking welfare. And it's a registered thing saying you will be sent a special ballot to vote in federal elections, but you cannot vote in state elections. Like, somebody got their hands on it and made it public. It's a legitimate thing that people are being handed when they're going to apply for welfare benefits. Legal, illegal, everybody saying you don't need ID to vote in federal elections, but you do have to prove you're a citizen to vote in the state elections. And they're trying to say it's not a problem. They're trying to say, oh, well, it's so minor and so unlikely to happen. Meanwhile, you got anywhere from 6 to 20 million illegal immigrants, depending on whose numbers you want to look at. And a lot of them have been caught at the border saying they're coming to vote for Biden. So the fact that the left is saying this is a problem, and I can't wait to see how the president reacts, because, or whoever is actually controlling the president. We all know Joe's not making the calls at this point. I can't wait to see what Jill's got to say about if this does happen to make it through the House and the Senate and get there, and there's no way it doesn't get vetoed by whoever's signing Joe's papers for him. Because, and that's the thing, once they do finally come out and say that that's the case, that they're going to veto it when it's on their desk, at that point, you lose any credibility when you're trying to deny that you brought all these illegals in to vote for you, because you're saying it's, phobic or ist or whatever, or racist or bigoted to try and make people prove they have a right to vote in the elections. But you out of the other side of your mouth, you're going to say, oh, well, we're not trying to make illegals vote. I mean, we've got Schumer already saying the entire goal is to make all these illegals into U.S. citizens. And everyone who's up there stumping to just grant blanket amnesty is all a bunch of leftist assholes. And they are doing that with the understanding and the expectation that all the gratitude from the illegals and all these brand new voters that they just minted will all be pointed squarely at them. And that's the card they're going to play. Oh, well, the conservatives didn't want you here, and they don't want you coming in, and they don't want you getting votes, so you can't vote for them. And then they try and deny it, and they try and act like it's not the case. And it's just the hypocrisy. And again, the smooth-brained fucks who gladly jump on board this. They are being made into third-class citizens in the country they were born in by a bunch of pandering assholes, and you'll still see this going on all over the place, and you still see these deep fucking blue strongholds that are full of fucking morons that don't understand they're voting against their own self-interest because they believe the narrative they were fed and they believe the spoon-fed bullshit. All you got to do to believe the shit is take a look at Chicago. Chicago, once upon a time, was a beautiful city full of amazing things. There's still a bunch of amazing things there, but there's more shit than there is than any of those amazing things are worth as far as I'm concerned. The streets aren't safe. Even the nice neighborhoods aren't safe anymore. If you're not in a gated community with private security, you're not safe in Chicago. You'll be beaten, you'll be assaulted, you'll be murdered, you'll be raped, and the person who did it, even if they get caught, probably won't see any jail time because they're going to get a slap on the wrist and told not to do that shit again until their court date, and they're going to be out on the streets. And you've got like that fucking idiot Johnson, the mayor, who's literally his go-to play anytime anything happens that's bad in that city is to blame white people and to deny any sort of culpability or responsibility for the problem. It's always racist and it's always whatever, even though his policies are contributing to all the violence and the fucking anarchy on the streets and the theft and the robberies and the assaults and all this other bullshit. And all these morons that keep voting blue. And now you're starting to see all the urban communities, the black communities, the minority communities that have been traditional Democrat strongholds, and they're fed up. They're starting to realize they're being replaced. And it might be too little too late because now their people they're being replaced with are here. And you've got these politicians who you put into office now trying to replace you with them. And shit's just getting worse. And what is it going to take to wake people up to these problems? Every gun-grabbing asshole who's out there trying to have a disarmed population, so the only people that have the weapons to defend themselves are the ones in power. Because, we got to do it to keep our communities safe. Look at all these deep blue shitholes. That's where the violence are. All the violent crimes are in deep blue areas with strong gun control laws. That's not a fucking coincidence. And, I mean, just the 4th of July weekend, like long weekend, there were like 100 and some shootings in fucking Chicago this weekend. I don't know what the final toll will actually come out to be. We'll have to look at that. Maybe we'll come back and revisit it. But last I checked, it was around 100 shootings in Chicago and something like 15 or 20 fatalities out of those 100 shootings, which tells you something too, because, like actual gun enthusiasts and the people that the left is always saying they're coming for your guns for, they're not going to shoot 100 people and have the kill rate only be 15 people. A 15% kill rate is a lot of spray and play out of a lot of thugs who are the ones that shouldn't have guns because they shouldn't be on the street in the first place. If you're not worthy of the responsibility of owning a firearm, you're probably too much of a threat to be in fucking public. But they're on the streets and they're running the streets with no consequences because of liberal policies and fucking soft on crime judges that would rather throw somebody in jail for defending themselves than throw somebody in jail for robbing, raping, killing, and murdering. So, again, and there's just this smooth brain cognitive disconnect of all these motherfuckers who try and justify it and try and defend it. And it's never their side's fault, even their side's policies are creating these fucking problems. Those aren't the problems. The problems come from the evil, bad conservatives that want people to, be responsible and take ownership for their shit and not be fucking scumbags. I mean, I'm not, a conservative in a lot of ways. I'm really not, but they at least make more sense to me than this self-destructive bullshit we're seeing out of the left. And I'm frustrated. I'm fed up. The continual shit. And like I said, the fact that I see people that I consider my friends, people that I've known for years, and I see them buying into this weak-minded shit. It's so disappointing. It's so disheartening. It just makes me want to just fucking, like, if I won the lottery tomorrow, I would probably disappear, unless it was a big enough lottery to take all you guys with me, like build a compound somewhere and we could just have our own little community. Which I would do if I won, like, when it got up to like $1 billion, to figure after taxes, $400 million. I could buy a nice compound with $400 million, and we could all go there and hang out and have our own little lives and live our best lives and just try and ignore the world around us. But if I want enough to just make my family disappear, I'd gone in a fucking heartbeat, so in the woods somewhere with fucking lots of forest and a lot of security on the perimeter. It just, like I said, it's to me, it's so disheartening. The people that I expect better from, people I think better of, and I see them echoing these stupid, weak-minded fucking bullshit talking points. And it's not always just a political thing about like, oh, well, Trump bad or I believe that there are 97 fucking genders. No, there's fucking not. There's a lot of confused little kids out there that are being guided by some malicious, evil motherfuckers with fucking hate in their hearts and trying to justify. I mean, like, look at fucking the jelly-filled fuck-muppet governor of this state. Their family, the Pritzker family, has poured so much money into this trans bullshit, trying to justify his brother's fucking mental illness and trying to normalize what's wrong with his fucking family. And they're all hypocrites and they're all pieces of shit. But like I said, there's a difference between a grown-ass man deciding he wants to cut his dick off and telling a confused child that they were born in the wrong body and the only answer is permanent life-altering decisions that they really shouldn't be making at the age of fucking 8. But I'm kind of getting rambly and losing my train of thought, so I'm going to put a pin in it for now and say thank you guys for listening. That's what I had to say. Thanks for listening to another episode, guys. If you liked what you heard, leave a comment, leave a review, leave a rating. Go to ihadtosayitpodcast.com, sign up for the mailing list, interact with the show. Click the links, sign up for the Patreon, join the Discord, come and interact, be a part of the show. Buy the merch, support your favorite creator, or support me. Anyway, thanks for listening, guys. Till next time.